Idaho College murders, a night of terror. In November 2022, the quiet college town of Moscow, Idaho, was a place where life felt safe. Students walked home late at night without fear. Parents trusted that their children were protected, and the University of Idaho was the beating heart of the community. But behind the calm surface, one house on King Road would soon become the setting of a nightmare that changed everything. On the morning of November 13th, 4 students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were found brutally murdered. In a single night, innocence was stolen, a campus was shaken, and the echoes of that violence reached across the nation. This is their story. Moscow, Idaho, a small college town nestled in rolling hills and farmland with a population of barely 25,000. Life here often felt sheltered, far away from the dangers of the outside world. The University of Idaho was at the center of it all, its campus alive with young people carrying coffee cups, rushing to class, or lounging on grassy quads. It was the kind of place where students felt free to walk home late at night, where parents believed their children were safe. But on the night of November 13th, 2022, that sense of safety shattered forever. A single house just off campus became the center of a nightmare that would echo across the entire nation. Kaylee, 21 years old, was on the verge of a new chapter in her life. She was about to graduate early with a degree in general studies, and she had already lined up a job in Austin, Texas, working in the tech industry. Her family said she was excited, nervous, but ready to spread her wings and begin adulthood. She came from a large, close-knit family with 5 siblings. Her parents described her as someone who loved fiercely and protected those she cared about. Her younger sister said Kaylee always looked out for her, even in small ways, like leaving encouraging notes in her backpack or sneaking her coffee before school. Kaylee had recently adopted a golden doodle puppy, Murphy. Friends said she treated him like her child, often bringing him everywhere she could. On the night of the murders, Murphy was in the house but left unharmed, something that has puzzled investigators and haunted her family ever since. Her father later said, "Kaylee was my protector. Even though I was supposed to protect her, she always looked out for me." Kaylee's life was filled with plans, travel, career, and dreams of one day starting a family. All of it was stolen in a single night. Maddie, also 21, was Kaylee's childhood best friend. They'd grown up together in northern Idaho, inseparable since middle school. Family members said the two were like sisters. If you saw one, you saw the other. In high school, they took trips together, shared secrets, and planned for their futures. They even talked about living close to each other as adults so they could raise their children side by side. Friends described their bond as rare, almost unbreakable. Maddie was studying marketing and was known for her bright personality. Her mother, Karen, called Maddie her best friend. "She was my whole world. She was the one who always made me laugh, who made the hard days easier." Maddie was also close with Kaylee's family, who saw her as one of their own. She often joined them on vacations and holidays, another daughter at the table. Her life was full of light and joy, and she carried that energy into every relationship she had. To lose her alongside Kaylee was a double blow, not just for their families, but for everyone who knew them as a pair. Xana, just 20 years old, was known for her wit and energy. She lived in the King Road house and was often the glue of her friend group. Friends said she was always organizing get-togethers, making sure everyone felt welcome. She was studying marketing, like Maddie, and was balancing school with part-time work at a local restaurant. Her co-workers remembered her as lively and funny, someone who could turn a stressful shift into a good time. Xana was dating Ethan Chapin, and the two were nearly inseparable. They laughed constantly, and their relationship was filled with playfulness. Xana's family said Ethan made her genuinely happy, that he was someone she could be completely herself around. Her sister later said, "Xana was strong, independent, and incredibly loved. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind. She lived fully in the moment. Her life, still in its early chapters, was brimming with potential. She was exploring who she wanted to be, and those around her believed she was destined for great things." Ethan, also 20, was part of a set of triplets. He had a brother and a sister who were the same age. His family often said that the three of them were more like best friends than siblings. They did everything together, from sports to family trips, and their bond was unshakable. Ethan was studying recreation, sport, and tourism management. He was athletic, loved the outdoors, and often played basketball with friends. He had a natural charm and a big smile that people remembered instantly. His parents described him as their sunshine. Ethan brought joy into every room. He loved life and he loved people. He was our sunshine, our one-of-a-kind boy. Ethan had been dating Xana for much of that year. Their families said the two were deeply connected. To lose both of them at once was described by their loved ones as unimaginable heartbreak. The four of them, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan, were young, vibrant, and full of dreams. They laughed together, studied together, and planned for futures that seemed so close at hand. No one could have predicted that on a cold night in November, those futures would be stolen in such a brutal way. The house at 1122. King Road looked like any other student rental in Moscow. From the outside, it was modest: white siding, a small wooden deck, and 3 stories stacked on a sloping hill. But inside, it had a maze-like quality. The basement level had 2 bedrooms, each with its own entrance. 2 roommates lived there, both of whom survived that night. The middle floor held Xana's bedroom, where she and Ethan spent the night together. The top floor was home to Kaylee and Maddie, sharing a room like they had for much of their lives. To outsiders, it was just another off-campus house. To the students who lived there, it was a place of laughter, parties, and shared memories. Friends remembered late-night music drifting from the kitchen, people coming and going at all hours, and the easy comfort of a house that always felt alive. That familiar space, the symbol of their independence and freedom, would become the unthinkable setting for their final moments. It began like so many weekends before. Maddie and Kaylee dressed up and headed to the Corner Club, a popular downtown bar. Surveillance cameras later captured them smiling, talking to friends, and enjoying the Saturday night buzz. They left around 1:30 a.m., walking the short distance to a nearby food truck, a local late-night stop where students often gathered for a quick meal before heading home. The food truck live stream shows them waiting in line, Kaylee with her arms wrapped around herself against the cold, Maddie chatting with other students. It's a haunting image now, knowing it was the last time they were seen alive in public. At the same time, Ethan and Xana were at a Sigma Chi fraternity party, less than a 10-minute walk from Xana's house. Witnesses recalled seeing them together, laughing and relaxed, the easy joy of young love. They left the party around 1:45 a.m. By 2 a.m., the house on King Road was full again. 6 people in total: Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, Ethan, and the 2 roommates downstairs. Phones buzzed with texts and calls. Between 2:26 and 2:44 a.m., Kaylee made multiple calls to her ex-boyfriend, Jack. None were answered. Around 4 a.m., a DoorDash driver delivered food for Xana, evidence that at least one person in the house was still awake. The house, so ordinary in its weekend rhythm, was seconds away from turning into a nightmare. Between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m., investigators believe the killer entered the house. One of the surviving roommates later told police she heard noises. First, what sounded like Kaylee's dog, Murphy, barking. Then, the sound of someone crying. She opened her door slightly and saw something that froze her in fear. A man, tall, dressed in black clothing, with a mask covering his nose and mouth. She remembered his bushy eyebrows. He walked past her silently and left through the sliding glass door. She locked herself in her room, convinced at first that she had simply witnessed something strange, not realizing the horror that had unfolded just feet away. When the sun rose, the house still looked peaceful from the outside, but inside, 4 young lives had already been taken. It wasn't until late the next morning, 11:58 a.m. on November 13th, that a 911 call was made from a surviving roommate's phone. The details of that call remain partly sealed, but reports suggest that friends had come to the house and realized something was horribly wrong. When police arrived, what they encountered inside stunned even seasoned officers. Though investigators have kept many details confidential, they later described it as one of the most gruesome and violent crime scenes in Idaho's history. From the outside, the house looked the same, quiet, unassuming. But inside, 4 young lives had been brutally ended, and 2 survivors were left in shock. In the hours that followed, the community demanded answers, but the police offered few details. At an early press conference, officials stated they did not believe there was an ongoing threat to the community. Yet they did not name a suspect or explain how they could be so certain. That single statement, "no ongoing threat," sparked outrage and fear. Parents called their children, urging them to leave campus immediately. Many students packed their cars and drove home, abandoning classes and dorm rooms. The University of Idaho, normally alive with 11,000 students, became half empty almost overnight. Professors canceled lectures, dining halls grew silent, and the once bustling quads now felt deserted. For those who stayed, fear became a constant companion. Locks were checked twice, sometimes 3 times. Pepper spray sold out at local stores. Students walked in groups, avoiding nighttime altogether. Neighbors in the area reported sleepless nights, afraid the killer might return. Some moved out temporarily, unable to shake the thought that violence had struck so close to home. With little official information, speculation took over. On social media, theories spread rapidly, some blaming ex-boyfriends, others accusing random classmates or professors. Innocent people found themselves at the center of online witch hunts. National media swarmed Moscow. Satellite trucks parked outside the campus, reporters knocked on doors, and the once quiet town became a circus of cameras and headlines. But despite the noise, the truth remained hidden. Weeks went by with no arrest, no suspect, and no clear answers. Vigils were held across the state. Hundreds gathered with candles, their breath visible in the cold November air. Photos of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan glowed on large screens as classmates and family members spoke through tears. Kaylee's father, Steve, addressed the crowd with raw emotion. "We will never stop fighting for justice for our kids. They had their whole lives ahead of them, and someone stole that from us." Those words captured the mood of an entire town: grief, anger, and a desperate need for justice. By December, nearly a month had passed. 4 students were dead, the community was gripped by fear, and still, no suspect had been named. Rumors spread online. Was it someone from campus, a stranger passing through, or someone closer than anyone imagined? The killer was still out there, and the question on everyone's mind was simple. Who could have done this? In Part 2, we'll follow investigators as they piece together crucial clues: the white car, the DNA evidence, and the shocking arrest that stunned the nation. What do you think so far? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The investigation was about to turn, quietly, methodically, toward a suspect no one expected. Every secret waits to be revealed. Every silence that carries an echo. Every story is waiting to be told. What about yours? What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts in the comments. Every voice matters. Subscribe and step into the echoes of truth.